Have you ever seen somebody that's sat down next to something disgusting and looked at him and gone, "Ew." There's almost that look of disgust on her face, like kind of, oh, they've arrived and they're going to be sitting next to me, and I don't want them touching me. I don't want my clothes touching theirs.
All right, we are back again with Gavin Stone. And last time I talked to Gavin, we were talking about his prime minister, Keir Starmer. I think, however, it's only fair that we look at this side of the pond. And we had an event here. Jimmy Carter lived to be 100 years old, former president of the United States, and he just passed away. Rest in peace. 100 years, not a bad run. But anytime you have a president pass away, their funeral it's a big deal. And it's a rare opportunity where you get to see former presidents, current presidents all together. And this is, possibly the world's smallest club. There are not that many people who become president of the United States. And in this case, you have not only the presidents, but you also have several vice presidents who attended. But in this setting, whatever you want to put it, at this funeral, you get the opportunity to see the interplay between different people and what's going on. And there was some interplay. Wouldn't you agree, Gavin?
Oh, yes.
This is an odd situation because we have the arrival of Donald Trump, for example, who is both a former president and president-elect.
Yeah.
He is the second person in the U.S. history to be elected twice, but not concurrently.
Yeah, so this is a bit here where the first approach, it almost looks like they weren't going to stand or acknowledge him. They were just going to try and let him walk past. If you look here where he's holding his jacket there, so we've got Al Gore and Mike Pence, and you can see, and this has probably been pointed out by one or two people, that he seems to be pulling that jacket in what would normally be considered a defensive and very kind of protective posture. And he's pulling it in and holding it there. The thing is, I actually think if we put this into context, there's a little bit more to it than that, because I've seen other clips of him, and when he stands, he's pulling his jacket in there. Maybe he's got a nasty stain on his shirt. Maybe, I don't know, his belt buckle's not very good. I don't know. I really don't know. But he's pulled that in on a couple of occasions, and he does it again later on when he's shaking hands with one of the other presidents. So,
okay. So just so I understand, it could be a fit or tailoring type of thing to make sure that he's presentable, not necessarily protective.
Exactly, yeah. So if we're putting that into context, it's not necessarily so because he was previously sitting down, he would more than likely have it unbuttoned. He's not going to stand up and button this up every time he stands up to shake hands with somebody. He'll just hold it in place like he is doing, and then shake hands with the person that he's shaking hands with, sit back down again, and let it open back up again. So the fact that a lot of people might be seeing this as something defensive, and could possibly be anyway, doesn't necessarily always fit, because like I said, there are other people that he shakes hands with. I have had a look at some of the other clips, and he does exactly the same things with other people. The interesting fact here was when President Trump was walking, and President-elect, I'm just going to say President Trump for the sake of it.
Yeah, he is, former and future, so yeah.
That's it. So when he was walking into the immediate area, neither of them looked like they were going to move to start with. And they'd got a look of uncertainty of like, do we stand? Do we shake hands? Do we ignore him? Will he go away if we pretend we can't see him? There was that kind of a little bit of a look there. We'll replay it, and you can see eventually they kind of both realised, like, oh, yeah, we better stand up. We better do what we should do. That was the moment of realisation.
Looks like Al Gore led. That when Al Gore went ahead and stood up, it looks like that cued Mike Pence that he better. And just so people, especially on your side of the pond, understand, part of the reason people are watching this so carefully is because there is a huge rift potentially between Donald Trump and his former vice president, Mike Pence. And there were some events that happened January 6, 2021. And Mike Pence was at the center of those events. And that was about certifying the election for current President Joe Biden. And it is a huge rift in the Republican community about Mike Pence, Donald Trump. Things have settled down quite a bit, and it's actually very good to see them shake hands and potentially move forward beyond this rift. But it is definitely there.
Yeah. And you can see with that handshake as well, that is a neutral, like kind of mutual handshake. So there's nobody trying to get the upper hand. And a lot of people don't realize this, or maybe they do, I'm not sure. But President Trump has a way of holding your hand when he shakes your hand and kind of twisting it just slightly, just enough to give him the advantage and what they call the upper hand. And will also pull you down. So while he's twisting one way, he'll also pull you down. Hypnotists use a very similar technique to partially put you into a trance when they're doing that kind of thing. It's what they call a rapid induction technique. And what it does, it kind of throws you off guard because you're not expecting it. So hypnotists use that with other things as well for the induction. But what happens is you're expecting to shake somebody by the hand, and when they pull you, like I say, it throws you off guard. You're, I wasn't expecting that. It takes your mind away from what you were doing and allows the other person to have the advantage cognitively.
I don't know if you know this, Gavin, but Donald Trump, when he was growing up, his pastor was one of the preeminent hypnotists in the world. Is a gentleman who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. And Norman Vincent Peale, I believe, is his name. And Scott Adams has pointed out many times, if you listen to Donald Trump's language, it is absolutely out of the power of persuasion. So that handshake and what you just described, and did you know what I'm telling you?
No, I didn't know that his pastor was a hypnotist or who he was. No, I didn't know any of that.
So I think you may have been spot on that is in fact possibly what he is doing.
Oh, wow. How about that then? Well, yeah, that's something I've spotted before and described to other people, but never said publicly before. So yeah, that certainly would explain why he does what he does normally with the handshake. But in
his language also, you will see it because he uses very strong visualizations all the time, which is part of the persuasion and hypnosis. Like, he doesn't say, prevent people from crossing the border. He says, build a wall, a giant wall. And he draws visual thinking and things of that sort. And Darren Brown, who's somebody I know you've studied quite a bit, has talked about when he's been almost mugged, getting out of mugging by hypnotizing the muggers by saying, you're feeling weak, like your wall is so small that you can get over and it's fractious. And the language is very powerful. And Donald Trump uses this. Scott Adams, who has written some books and constantly talks about being a trained hypnotist, describes this all the time.
Oh, so there we go. That's good confirmation of what we were saying then.
If you look, Melania is there, right? Melania, his wife, has walked ahead. Now, Donald Trump does shake the hands. And so Melania is saying, oh, okay. And she goes in to shake Mike Pence's hand. She attempts to shake Karen Pence's hand, Mike Pence's wife. And Mike Pence's wife absolutely is stone-faced and is not there for it at all.
Wow.
Okay, so next entry.
Yeah. I thought this was really interesting. If we pause it there for a moment, I like the fact that Barry has acknowledged Trump and Trump has acknowledged Barry on his walk in, but neither of them have gone for a handshake. He's gone straight in for the handshake there with Gore and Pence, and pretty much kind of almost made it look like he was ignoring Trump. He wasn't, because there was a very quick flash of them seeing each other and giving almost a very subtle nod of, I see you, I'll be back to you. He's kind of picked up his book. And I think that was something that was probably more for other people than anything else, because he's acknowledged Trump, gone over, done his handshakes, and then he's going to go back to Trump in a moment.
Right. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because a lot of people are making hay out of that, saying that that Barack Obama blew him off or ignored him, and he did not. You could see that nod of acknowledgement. And if you look at a normal social setting, all these people behind them, it's not like he can sit there and talk to them during the funeral. It's not like he won't have immediate communication. So he has to go to them, shake them, acknowledge them. And then when he goes sits down, he's right next to Donald Trump the whole time. So he doesn't really need to go and shake his hand at all. They're going to spend some time together coming up.
And of course, you've got the whole thing, that kind of nod that he gave was an, I see you, I'll be back in a moment. And so men and a lot of women, I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but men have kind of two nods. And nod number one is like an acknowledgement nod that is normally amongst friends. It's like, hey, how are you doing? It's like an upward nod. And then the other side of it is almost when you see somebody who's like an enemy at times, or sometimes it can be down to appreciation, and that's a downward nod. And you'll give them a goal, kind of downward, like, I see you, I've clocked you. And that one there, it was very, very subtle, but it was a downward nod, and it was almost an appreciation of, I understand that you know this situation is delicate. Thank you. I'll be right back. So there was almost like a mutual agreement between the two of them there for a second.
Yes, and there's a lot of baggage between the two. Remember, only a month and change ago, Barack Obama was calling essentially saying that Donald Trump was a World War II Germanic figure. I think the term fascist might have been thrown around by his friends. Let's put it that way. So this is very interesting in some of that too, where you can see where there's political loaded language, and then there's reality. Because if you honestly think somebody is Hitler, you're not going to be comfortable talking to him.
No, not at all. And they do look very comfortable in a while.
Now that right there, if you look at next to Mike Pence, she does not look very comfortable, right?
Not at all. That was almost a look of kind of, I can't believe after everything you've said about him, we're here in these circles and kind of discussing and having conversations on a friendly tone. You can imagine, and we're going to cover this a little bit later on as well with some of the other people that come into play. You can imagine the conversations that have been had at home that have been very, very different to the ones that have been had in public between these men. And when they go back after this funeral, I imagine there are going to be a fair few hot discussions between spouses.
Yes. Do you think that look of disgust is more at Donald Trump or Mike Pence? Because Mike Pence doesn't look too comfortable too. He seems to recognize a chill in the room. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's me.
I think he knows he's going to be getting it in the neck later. And I think that look of disgust is a little bit of both from his wife there. I think that's a look of kind of, not only am I unhappy with this whole situation and the people around me, but I'm also annoyed at the fact that you're putting on a public display of kind of,
reconciliation.
Yeah. So, and of course, these people know that, this is going to be everywhere overnight. This is going to go viral. So, there are a lot of ramifications of every single action of each and every one of these players.
And I'll just point out one last thing. It may mean nothing, but her name is Karen.
Karen. Yeah. She hasn't got the usual haircut, but, she's definitely got the demeanor.
All right. So there we go. They're talking. So this is kind of what we were talking about. No handshake needed. They're communicating here. This does not look uncomfortable.
No, definitely not. And I like the way he's casually, so if you look at Barry casually flicking through the book, he's not looking at that book. He's not reading that book. He's got no intentions of taking any notice of the content at the moment. What he's trying to do is trying to look as casual as he possibly can. And, I'm not going to get down to the point of who people do and don't like and the reasons why and whatever else. I'm going to call things and say things as they are. Barack Obama is a very charismatic and very kind of influential person. Whether you like him or whether you don't, same with Trump. They are both really, really great charismatic figures. And he is the kind of person who can quite comfortably sit in many situations without worrying about what's going on around him. And this is a perfect example of that. He's sitting next to somebody who publicly he opposes, apparently, around people that have all got daggers under their cloaks, and he's happily sitting there flicking through the, I forgot what the name of what they call those.
That's a program of some kind.
Yeah, the program. There's a church name for it, but I can't remember. Anyways, he's casually flicking through the program, very, very relaxed. And that is Barack Obama through and through. I don't know where his husband is at this point. I don't know where Michelle Obama is at this point. And because she doesn't show up at all, does she?
No. From what I understand, she had a conflict and was in Hawaii. I don't know the details. There is the rumor, but there's always rumors that, there could be something amiss, but you never know about these things. So.
Yeah. So, but interesting, and also interesting in the choice of ties with one or two of the people. Obviously, being a funeral, it's usually black tie, and I've noticed one or two people there have gone with the choice of blue. So, whether that's deliberate or whether I refuse to believe that a president or any of these people, for that matter, don't have access to a black tie.
Oh, there's always an intention in the way they dress. I believe. Yeah. Always. I don't know what symbolically it means, but yes, they're between themselves and their staffs, because I think they all still have staffs or people to guide them. There's always an intentionality in how they dress.
Yeah. And of course, Trump hasn't gone for the usual red power tie because it's a funeral, but at the same time hasn't gone for the black suit and the black tie with the white shirt, which shows that, look, I'm a little bit different. Blue is usually a sign of trust. A lot of people have gone in and they've worn, one or two of them have worn dark navy blue suits, but the majority of them are in the standard funeral black attire.
That was a great exchange. That was a, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
That was very friendly exchange from George W. Bush, by the way. We call him W. It's not meant to be necessarily an insult. It's just kind of a nickname that we've given to him. But that flick to the chest is, culturally speaking, George Bush is a Texan. And one time he was quoted as saying, people like to talk about my swagger. In Texas, we call that walking.
Yeah.
That was essentially what he was doing there. Hey, buddy, notice I don't think he acknowledged Trump at all.
I was going to bring that up because what you'll notice is that clever little maneuver that Dubby just did. He literally walked past the Trumps straight up to Barry, give him a tap on the belly, the friendly Texan way. And it was almost a kind of a way of, he made a beeline directly for Barry. He's come up and he's given him that tap of acknowledgement. And that was almost like a get out of jail card for him, because it looked like I don't need to acknowledge the Trumps at all because I was just trying to get over to be friendly with Barry a bit sharpish. So he's given Barack Obama